Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new around here, consider subscribing, hitting that like button. It helps me out with making these videos. So today we're working on the JDM Supra again. We're going to be building the single turbo kit, so the downpipe, mid-pipe, and exhaust. We're also going to be building the oil drain lines. We have some new shirts on the website. Go by, check them out. I figured this was appropriate for this day. So I have all the boost with the Turbo Snail shirt on. We have probably 15, 16 different shirts now, so go check those out to help support the channel. All right, so let's get to it. I have the I Avoid warranties with the wrench hand, all the boost with the Turbo Snail, and I Am the warranty with the wrench hand. All right, now back to the video. All right, so first thing we do for the single install, we're going to use a tile V-band wastegate. So we cut off the this 4-bolt flange we won't be needing. We'll just weld the V-band to the manifold. Here we have the Borg turbo. It's a S372 billet super core with a T51R modded housing and 90 degree elbow. So we're going to put the manifold in the car, get the turbo set up, clocked properly. The drain port has to be within 20 degrees of vertical. Then that'll allow us to position the wastegate and make sure that the dump tube clears the downpipe. Alright, so we have this excess power downpipe mid-pipe combo. We're going to have to cut this flange off and then weld on the Marvin flange to bolt to the turbo. Also, we're going to have to cut this downpipe up in a couple places to get it to route correctly. The turbo's got a little bit of an angle clock to it, and this downpipe set up for more of a straight-on configuration. I'm going to smooth out the burrs around the edge, just a flat disc on the angle grinder. Okay, we're going to go ahead and cut it up here, because this is going to have to clock a little bit to line up with the turbo correctly. Alright, so we got that cut. We're going to go ahead and deburr both sides. Alright, to give you an overhead view of what we're looking at here, here's the piece of downpipe. Basically we're going to have to cut a pie slice to get it to hit the hole between the firewall, the manifold, and then down through the subframe. We may have to cut this a little bit shorter too, maybe another 1/2 inch or so off of there, depending on how thick the Marmon flange is. Alright, so one cheap tool that I find helps a lot with building pipes is this digital angle finder. I think it was like 15 bucks on eBay, something like that. So you can find the exact angle you need and then tighten this to lock it down. And then that way you can go over to your pipe, mark where you want your angles, and then make your pie cuts that way. Alright, so we've got a 4-foot section, 4-inch stainless. This is what we're going to start using to make our pie cuts from the end. So I've measured the angle that we need coming off the turbo using the angle finder, and then I'm just going to transfer it over to the end of this pipe. Alright, so we got our first section pie cut here, and need to grind off the burrs. Alright, so we got our first pie section cut here. Basically it's going to look something like this. And then we'll weld the Marmon on. Probably flip this around, do the straight section into the Marmon. We'll do that. Tack this together and we'll see how it looks. Alright, so we're just going to put a couple tacks to hold the flange onto that first pie cut, and then lock it up on the turbo, mark it for clocking on this, and then put a couple tacks on that. Alright, so we've got the pie cut and flange on here. Just going to tighten up the clamp, just snug enough to hold this center. Alright, so we've got that tacked together. We're going to go ahead and weld it out while it's short. It'll be easier to get around. A little bit of a gap to fill in, but shouldn't be a problem. So. Alright, so I went ahead and put in the oil feed fitting. It was a 4A into quarter MPT. I forget. This is the Russell part number if you need it. And then a oil drain fitting. That's a 12AN, 10AN, I forget. Alright, so I had to massage this first runner a little bit with a hammer, kind of flatten it a little bit there to give some clearance to the compressor housing. Alright, so that's the clearance that we added in there, just enough to see through it, be plenty. Alright, so I ended up switching the oil feed and plug. So I'm feeding off of the front port and then I've plugged the rear port. Alright, so we've got the wastegate flange welded on the bottom of the exhaust manifold and went ahead and welded on the next bend on the downpipe. So we're going to continue building the downpipe. I'll probably build it to about here, and then we'll put another V-band flange on it so it's easy to get in and out through the top. Alright, so this is what the downpipe's looking like. Spliced in piece here. It's about 15 degree on each one, and then this section was the lower pipe of the SX power down pipe. Already had the flange welded on, so that angle worked out pretty good. Going to go ahead and weld this out and then start on the mid pipe. Alright, so I made the oil drain line. Basically have a 45 and in the straight it's dash 10. Used all Russell fittings. One tip when making these lines up, when you fit the first part all the way on, make sure it's fully seated, then make a little mark just under the shoulder there. That way as you're installing the top portion of the fitting, you can see if this slides up on the hose, or sorry, on the braided hose. That'll tell you if you need to try again or if it's seated correctly. Alright, so we've got the oil drain line in, went ahead and tightened it up at the bottom, and then we'll set everything back in and get it tightened up to the bottom of the turbo. Alright, so we've got the manifold mounted. Went ahead and put the gasket back on, multi-layer metal gasket between the manifold and the head. Have the exhaust side of the turbo housing installed, torqued down. Have the multi-layer steel gasket between there. Had to use a wrench, open end wrench, to get to this rearmost nut underneath. Then we're going to install the center section, install the oil line. We're going to have to come back and rework the oil line once we get another fitting in. But for now, using a straight and then a 45 at the bottom. We've got the oil feed line. Have it real good like that. So we're going to put on the center section, tighten everything up on it, then put on the compressor section. Then I'll move to the exhaust. We'll install the downpipe, mid pipe, and then install the rest of the intercooler piping. Go ahead and build the air inlet for the turbo. Basically we're just going to have it come this way and stop right here for now. Eventually we'll cut a hole here and then run the pipe down, just so it's getting air from the front bumper instead of having to pull through the engine compartment. Alright, so we've got the center section loosely bolted up, installing the oil drain line. We're going to put this thermal sleeve on it, so it's like a fire sleeve, thermal sleeve, high temp silicone, and then some stainless basically zip ties to hold it in place. We're going to try to pull this up as high as we can where it's close to the exhaust manifold, just to protect the drain line. Alright, so this is what the oil drain line looks like with the fire sleeve inside and the crimp rings on it. Alright, so we've got this intersection back installed, the oil line installed, connected both ends. This upper portion is what we're going to redo because the oil feed fitting is clocked a little too far. It has a 20 degrees maximum. It's probably 30 to 40 degrees now, so it'll work for testing, but definitely need to get it more vertical before we turn some RPMs. Alright, so we've got the cold side, our compressor side installed, along with the intercooler piping. So next we're going to drop the exhaust back in, oil it up, top the fluids off, and give it a start. Okay, starting the rear exhaust section, so just tacked on the V-band, and then we're going to come off here a couple of bends and run it out the back. Alright, so we've got the front section of the rear exhaust tacked together, got the V-band on it, and just put a tack weld here. Have the rear pipe in the car, and then so basically we're going to be able to transition from here to the rear pipe, and I'll show you once I get this underneath. Alright, so underneath we've got the mid pipe, then the front of the rear section, and then this is the where we're going to have to make the transition piece. Basically I set this rearmost pipe up exactly where I wanted the exhaust to exit, and an angle, so I have the front part of it on jack stand spaced up, with the rear part just zip tied to the rubber hangers. Okay, and then so that's what the exhaust exit will look like looking down from above, so it sticks out just enough. Alright, so this is what we ended up with. Went ahead and tacked a couple hangers on. Fit up on that joint wasn't the best, but we can fill it in. That was the transition section that we added. Put 2 hangers in the rear. Alright, so that does it for this episode. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this content, hit that like button. Also feel free to comment below any of your thoughts about this build or anything with it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.